two brothers, Elijah and Mark, knelt beside each other to say their bedtime prayers. Elijah had always enjoyed praying ever since he learned to talk, and he did so enthusiastically. Mark prayed because he knew he should. He knew that his father, a prominent pastor in their local church, would not tolerate his eldest son living outside the standards of the household rules, especially the one that stated, "You must say your prayers when you wake up and before you go to bed." Both boys said, "Amen," as they quickly wrapped up their prayers and headed to bed. However, only one of them meant it. 18 years later, Elijah, now 28, worked night shifts at a homeless shelter while studying to become a counselor. He wasn't perfect. He struggled with fear and exhaustion, but among his co-workers and even the shelter's clients, he was known for being compassionate, humble, reserved, and sometimes a little too preachy. On the other hand, Mark, now 31, had become a social media influencer, posting Christian content and sparking religious debates on controversial theological topics. His audience of more than 350,000 followers viewed him as charismatic, ambitious, and occasionally too cocky. Mark knew the scriptures well and was well versed in theological literature. He spoke confidently and always appeared righteous. Secretly, however, he was obsessed with gaining his father's approval. He had always wanted to live up to his father's expectations, which was why he had taken such a strong interest in religious studies and Christianity. He wanted to be seen as the chosen one who would one day inherit his aging father's church. Over time, his relationship with God had become transactional. If I do all the right things and faithfully follow God, my Father will be pleased, so he thought. However, his father's church was slowly declining in membership, so part of Mark's mission to impress him was to organize a massive crusade complete with cameras, sponsors, social media campaigns, celebrity pastors, and popular Christian influencers. Throughout his publicity campaign, Mark confidently told his audience that the crusade was for God and for those who wanted to experience his presence. Deep down, however, everything was designed to elevate his image in his father's eyes. Elijah was also aware of the church's declining attendance. Unlike Mark, he had become increasingly involved in street evangelism, spending his time in malls, convenience stores, and public spaces inviting people to the ministry. Sometimes he quietly used part of his bi-weekly paycheck to help recovering addicts transition into stable housing. He ministered to prisoners whom society had abandoned and often reached out to their families as well. He secretly bought groceries for struggling families, but nobody recorded it, and nobody applauded him. One Sunday, while their father was preaching, he noticed an increase in new members attending the church. Some appeared homeless, while others seemed to be recovering from addiction. After the service, he learned that the growth was largely due to Elijah's persistent evangelism. Wanting to acknowledge Elijah's unseen faithfulness, he decided to host a dinner party and invited Mark along with several close family members. Mark was also looking forward to the gathering because it provided the perfect opportunity to tell his father about the crusade he was organizing to help grow the ministry. He couldn't wait to tell him about the well-known pastors, Christian celebrities, and influencers who would be attending. On the evening of the dinner party, everyone sat around the table eating, drinking, and laughing together. As the conversation flowed, Mark decided it was time to make his announcement. I want you all to know that I have set a perfect plan in motion that will move our ministry forward, he said. The rest of the family gradually set down their cutlery and quieted their conversations. I also want to acknowledge Elijah, my beloved brother, for the recent growth in attendance. He has been consistent in reaching the needy and helpless people in our streets and bringing them into the house of the Lord. But there is still much work to be done, and that is where I intend to continue. Interesting, son, his father said. What are you looking to do? Simple, a crusade. A crusade? His father asked, leaning back in his chair. Yes, Dad. We haven't organized one in years. I've invited several respected men of God, along with reputable influencers in the Christian space, to join us. People won't only be blessed, but our ministry will once again become a beacon of hope for those seeking comfort from God. Sounds exciting, Mark, his father replied, though he didn't appear particularly excited. But do we really need to invite those so-called big-time pastors, influencers, or whoever? It sounds like a lot of effort. The people attending the crusade won't be there to experience God as they should. Instead, they'll be distracted by watching these famous pastors and influencers minister, his father added. The effort will be worth it, Dad, and the people will experience God's glory through these invited personalities, Mark replied with growing confidence. Okay, let's see, his father said abruptly. We can work on this together. I have some ideas we could add to make it more accessible to the most vulnerable people in our town, Elijah quickly offered, filling the cold silence that followed their father's response. I've got it all figured out, bro. Don't stress yourself too much, you already have a lot going on, Mark replied hurriedly, smirking as he gently tapped the table. All right, let's get back to eating. Mark, we can continue planning this tomorrow on the golf course, their father said, attempting to end the conversation and relieve the rest of the family members who were eager to move on with their dinner. With everything planned, Mark eventually held his massive crusade and, in doing so, proved his father right. The crowd came primarily to see the celebrity pastors and Christian social media influencers they had been following online. The crusade was eventful, and some attendees claimed they had felt God's presence. Yet the entire event felt more like a show than a genuine spiritual encounter. Deep down, Mark knew this, but he didn't care. The massive turnout was enough for him. Despite all the promotion and effort that had gone into attracting new members, only 5 or 6 people from the thousands who attended the crusade showed up for Sunday service. Mark was deeply disappointed. His insecurities began to simmer beneath the surface, even though he tried to appear composed during the service. One question played repeatedly in his mind, louder than the church instruments. God, why didn't my plan work? He had invested so much time, money, and effort into organizing something he believed would increase the church's membership. More importantly, he believed it would help him become the favored son in his father's eyes.